Hello friends, welcome to another video from my channel. In today's video I'm going to talk about 6 time management techniques that personally helped me improve and manage my time better. So let's begin. So the first technique that helped me improve my relationship with my time and kind of changed my life is highlighting. So I first came across this idea from this book called Make Time, which was written by Jake Knapp and John Zatarsky, and I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. And if I'm not, I'm sorry, Jake. Excuse me for that. So essentially, what the authors talk in this book is that if you have something you feel like it's important and you're unable to allocate time for the task, the author suggests that we make it a highlight. That is, that we either make it the first task we do as soon as we wake up, or the last task we do for the day before we hit the bed. Initially, when I read this idea, I thought it's a simplistic view and it's a very generic idea. It didn't blow my mind when I first read it. But when I actually implemented it, when I actually followed it, it really made a lot of difference. I always had this thought of hitting that treadmill regularly, walking on the treadmill regularly, and making workout a part of my daily routine. But something or the other comes up in the busy of my office schedule and my personal tasks. It always used to get postponed. So I followed this approach to that. As soon as I wake up, the first thing I do is walk on the treadmill, and I've been fairly consistent with it. I usually make highlights the first thing to do in the morning, because with that it gives me a very positive boost for the rest of the day, and I end up being more productive. And only in weekends, because in weekends I wake up late and the day starts late, so I don't do highlights at the beginning of the day, I do at the end of the day. So you can do it either way, whatever works for you. You can either make your highlights the first thing to do in the morning, or you can either make it the last thing to do at the night. The next idea that kind of encourages me to be more productive is the 2 minutes rule.
The 2-minute rule, which is where I will genuinely convince myself I'm only going to do it for 2 minutes. And if I want, I'm allowed to stop after the 2 minutes, because 2 minutes is better than nothing. But like 95% of the time, I decide to continue, because 2 minutes is all you need to change your life.
Like whenever I kind of push doing certain things, maybe shooting this YouTube video or writing that blog post, which I post every Thursday. Okay, I promise to myself, okay, I'll just do it for 2 minutes, and after that I'll carry on with whatever task I'm doing right now. And I'll sit for 2 minutes, I'll start writing that blog post, and eventually I'll end up finishing it and posting it. Third time management tip or technique I've learned and I use quite religiously nowadays is blocking your calendar. When I see the calendars of Elizabeth Phillips, Ali Abdal, Thomas Frank, Matt Diavella, feels like this is the way to organize time. One of the first benefits of using a calendar is that you are intentionally blocking time for the activity you want to do. So for example, let's say I block time from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. to learn and read economics, and suddenly my friend calls me and asks me if I was free from 4 to 6 to hang out for a coffee or for something like that. I can say no, my calendar is blocked. And it also gives us a bird's eye view of the entire day. If you are not using a calendar, do use a calendar. So the next tip for managing your time, this is actually my favorite one. I have learned this from Ankur Wariku's, the famous Ankur Wariku's time management course, wherein he says that understand your energy patterns, which means sit back and just observe your day and see at what time are you actually productive, and at what time you're not productive and you feel like lazing around. So what Ankur says that once you understand these energy patterns, let's say in the mornings you're very active, so after breakfast you are very productive, you feel like doing a lot of work, and you actually do a lot of work at speed during that time. And in the afternoon, maybe around 2, 3, 4, you're not that productive, your energy levels see a dip, and you kind of like to relax and laze around during that time. So what Ankur suggests is batch all your important tasks and organize all your important tasks during those phases of the day where your energy levels are at its peak and you are extremely active. During the hours where you're not that energetic, don't keep any important tasks for that time and allow yourself to relax during that time. In this way, you will accomplish your important tasks, and you'll also not feel bad during those 1-2 hours where your energy levels see a dip and you're not that productive. So finally, the last two productivity tips are actually these are no brainers, but yeah, the uh, the last but one is having a to-do list. A to-do list, everybody uses a to-do list, and this is mostly recommended, and I believe everyone has a to-do list. But if you are someone who is not using a to-do list, do use a to-do list. To-do list actually enhances our productivity and ensures that everything we are supposed to do on that day is done. We are more mindful of the things we are supposed to do, we are more aware of the things we are supposed to do, and there's no chance of forgetting what we are supposed to do. Please make sure that you have a to-do list, and you can use any app for to-do list. I personally prefer to write down my to-do list, but as far as office tasks are concerned, I also use an app. I don't use anything fancy. For office tasks, I use OneNote as my to-do list, but for all my personal tasks and for all this YouTube and related stuff, I mostly write down my to-do list. And personally, writing down things prove to be more effective for me than using any fancy app. Even in OneNote, I type down my to-do list. I don't use any app in which these tasks are recurring. What happens is when I write, it makes me feel more, uh, I am more committed with those tasks, and I end up doing them. When I go to an app, you can use app like Things or Microsoft To Do, and Google also has a to-do list, I guess, I'm not sure. But I personally use Things for few of the tasks which I might forget and I need a software to remind me. It's a good app. But what happens is with these softwares which rotates tasks, the intention, I feel like the intention is missing. If I write down, I'm more committed to those tasks, I'm more intentional with those tasks, and I end up finishing them. So personally for me, writing tasks work. But if you want to use if you want to use any app, my recommendation would be Microsoft To Do, which is absolutely free, and Things. But Things has there's a caveat here. Things is available only for Apple devices, and it's not a free app. You'll have to pay for it. The last productivity technique I follow is having a might-do list. I learned about this idea from this book called 4000 Weeks. I'll drop the link of the book in the description below. Do check the book if you are interested. It's actually a good book, in which the author says that do not flood your to-do list with a lot of tasks. Only have around 5 to 6 tasks in your to-do list, and all the other things you want to do, you want to accommodate in that day, write down those tasks in your might-do list. Only after you pick a few things from your to-do list, you will shift those tasks from might-do list to to-do list. In this way, your active to-do list will only contain important tasks and tasks which you can do in a day, around 5 to 6, rather than flooding it with 15, 16 entries and feeling bad about yourself at the end of the day when you see only 5, 6 of them being ticked and rest of others being untouched like that. If you like the video, do hit that like button. It will allow the video to reach more people, and consider subscribing to the channel if you thought the video was valuable. You can also check out my letters called Letters from My Desk. These are blog posts written in the form of letters which only take 1 to 2 minutes to read. They are very short, crisp, and extremely informative. Do check them out, and that's all for this week. This is D.S.S.R.Anirudh signing off, and I'll see you next week.